Welcome to the Social Podcast, brought to you by Another World Media and F the Box Movement. It's time for real talk with real people. Are you ready? Let's go. For this episode, I wanted to have a special guest. I know I usually try to focus in on people in Colorado, but this next guest is doing tremendous work as far as being out in the media, making a presence, being a representative of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, the content creator, the owner of the Okie Podcast, Russell Sun Eagle.
What's up, everybody? Hey, thanks, Mona, for having me on. I really do appreciate it. I know we've been in contact, past, over the year, I guess?
Yeah, just about.
But, I mean, our schedule's so crazy and, everything works out in good timing. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast. I'm super proud of you that you made your podcast. I think I remember we first started, we were friends, and then you mentioned that you wanted to do a podcast. And so it's really cool to see people that say they want to do it and then they actually do it. So I applaud you. It's a lot of hard work. So congratulations.
Thank you. Just so you know, you are part of that inspiration, because I know that I was thinking about it. And then you went and dropped your podcast. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, I'm going to get left behind. I got to get on this.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think it's still trying to catch up, the whole podcast thing, I think.
Right.
Because, a lot of people, they don't really understand what it is when, it's another form of media, and it's a great form of media.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tons of stuff out there to listen to educate yourself on, and just to hear people talk, like how they think and everything. So, and to inspire you, I thank you for that. I always hear that too. Like people say, oh man, you inspired me to start one. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, I'm happy to, that's what it's all about though, right? To inspire people to help navigate them on what they want to do, because it's hard to try to figure out what it is, exactly what it is you want to do. If it's a podcast, and, at least try it out. That's what I say. Do it and try it out and see what you like.
Yeah. And there's so many podcasts, I know that there's like thousands of podcasts, but there's only so many podcasts that actually represent people of color, that represent Indigenous voices. And so to me, that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to be able to have you on as a guest, because I wanted to talk about the Okie Podcast. And I looked it up, and I know that when it comes to the description, I love what you put down. You said, average Okie having incredible conversations with extraordinary human beings.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. The idea of that, this goes back to 2020, I believe, but because I didn't know how to start it. I didn't know what it was going to become. I just wanted to do something, and I wanted to, I don't know, I was relying on somebody to help me start it. Like I needed a crutch, and my friend was that crutch, and I kept waiting and he just never came through. And then our schedules always had conflicts and everything, so we just never got it going. And and I was too afraid to just step out on my own and try it, because I was so afraid of, I don't know, just the backlash and just being I guess made fun of, or how people can be,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was afraid of that, and I was afraid to just step out on my own and just be vulnerable, be uncomfortable. And so I don't know. So I ended up buying all this stuff, and I said, man, I'll buy it, and then I'll use it. And no, it sat around for months after that, because I was so afraid. And so, but extraordinary, average Okie, I've done a lot of stuff like prior to this, but your average Okie, I guess, having extraordinary conversations. And that's what I put, I think, because I had the idea of like, I want to bring people on, but I don't know. I didn't understand what a podcast was either. And so it was just kind of, trying to balance all that out. And finally, I finally did it. I just said, screw this. I'm going to I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
something. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to do it. So that's what I always say. Like my first episode was with Riker Six Killer, actor, stuntman, uh, amazing person,
Mm-hmm.
puts in a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so crazy because I've never met him before, but we've been friends on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
that was always my plan, is to like add people that were out here doing amazing stuff, and to
Yeah.
eventually ask them like, hey, would you possibly might want to be a guest on the pod or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was cool enough to say yeah. I winged it, and he carried me that whole episode. But I kind of got the idea of like, okay, well, I think we'll just introduce you. Like, we'll
Mm-hmm.
introduce you to the people, to everybody out here that doesn't know, I guess, what you're doing. And
Mm.
you tell everybody like what you do. Like, so it's your platform. Like, it's your
Right.
platform. You do what you do. And, after that, we'll talk. We'll just talk about whatever, whether it's
Right.
serious or goofy or funny. Like, it doesn't matter. And so
Mm-hmm.
we did that episode, and then I had my buddy Dennis on, and it went on and on and on, and it just became, like, I don't know. I was just putting in the work. I wasn't
Yeah.
really thinking about like what
Mm-hmm.
it was becoming, but more
Mm-hmm.
people would listen to it, and then they would
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, it's you're giving our people a platform. You're giving our
Yeah.
people something to say about
Mm-hmm.
themselves that they probably wouldn't have any other place to go to tell
Mm-hmm.
to tell people about what they do, or who they are and all this. So that's
Mm-hmm.
really cool that you're giving them that opportunity. And so I don't know, thinking about that, it was like, oh wow, like that's really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
and so I just and I met a lot of amazing people throughout this journey, and I mean, it's still growing. I'm still doing it. and
Mm-hmm.
and just to come across and all these other people that want to start a podcast. I mean, I would say, just don't think about it too much. Just do
Just
it.
do it. Just do
Yeah.
it.
And so that's where the whole, like, I typed that out, like, the whole having conversations with extraordinary people. I typed that out not really knowing what it was going to be, and I just kept it like that. It's plain and
Mm-hmm.
simple. It gets kind of to the point. And I mean, they are, man. They're extraordinary human beings with
Mm-hmm.
everything they do. I mean,
Yeah.
and so I look up to them, and it's just that's just the way it goes. I mean, like, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool. It's really cool to what it's turned into.
Yeah. I think that's what I love about doing a podcast is you can make it what you want.
Hmm.
And, and I'm in the same place as you of wanting to elevate voices that are usually not represented, and I'm in Denver, Colorado, and there's a lot of indigenous people here. There's a lot of Latinos here. There's a lot of Black people here that are doing all kinds of work. But if you watch the news, or if you watch, look at TV, they're only really talking about maybe 10% of
Hmm.
what's happening here, and a lot of it isn't people of color. And so it's kind of like with you. I wanted to be able to do that. I wanted to be able to have a place where people who are doing good work can be recognized, and then also have a place where people, if somebody's listening and they want to get involved, they can get connected to somebody. um, but I want to go back and talk about you with your podcast. I wanted to ask you because I noticed that you also started to do scary stories,
Oh yeah.
and I'm like, I I get scared kind of easy when it comes to scary stories. So I'm like, what's up with that? Why are you got to do that? I can't even
Oh.
listen to the whole thing. I barely started. I'm like, my heart starts racing. I start looking around me in case I see something. So, anyways.
Yeah, that one. I mean, so last year I had around October, I
Mhm.
wanted to do, like, I don't know, just bring on some people to talk about scary stuff. And my first year doing a pod, so I wanted to do something fun for October,
Mhm.
and I had Chris Hill over. He's a storyteller, and he's into paranormal stuff and
Mhm.
history and everything. So I asked him if he wanted to come on and do one, and
Mhm.
so he said, "Yeah." And I've known him since I was a kid. I kind of grew up around him because he worked for our tribe in Pawnee,
Mm.
and so that's how I know him. And I haven't really. We talk off and on because I went off to college and stuff, and then I came back and just we talked off and on, but
Mm-hmm.
and so I hit him up and he said, yeah, I'll come over, and we kind of just talked about what stories he would tell about, and then what he would want to talk about. And I just said, man, just I don't know, like it's whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to talk about, whatever is safe to talk about. I know that some things aren't safe, but we'll just go, and then if something slips, then I can edit it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came over. He talked about Bigfoot, I believe, and we talked about some spirits or like around the area and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it went well. It went well, and it was a really great episode, and everybody enjoyed it. Everybody thought it was a really great episode, and so I didn't think much of it. I just thought, oh, cool. He just said, yeah, anytime, you want to do it, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then our other buddy Tyler Randall, he does Skoden Cinema. He had the idea, I think, back in March because his episode 20 was coming out, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to do. He reviews movies. He talks about movies, native movies. He does all kind of stuff, native representation, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to do. He wanted to talk about. What's it called? The Legend of Boki Creek.
Okay.
He wanted to talk about that and Bigfoot. And so he got us together, and we all started talking about it. And I said, hey, what if we just did this as its own show? What
Mm-hmm.
if we just came together like we released an episode every other week, and then we just started doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody agreed, and we just started doing it. That one's grown too. I mean, people love that one because there's a lot of paranormal stuff out there, but how we do it is we're very respectful, first of all, about what we
Mm-hmm.
talk about. We just don't go off on stuff, and we know there's things that we're not supposed to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and we're very careful with what we say and what we talk about, what we do, and we're just very cautious about it. We do what we can to bring the most respect to every episode we bring out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our main goal, is to be respectful to every tribe that we talk about, and every entity we talk about, and there's a lot of humor in it too. It's not just like, I mean, it can be spooky, I guess it can be, but I mean, we mix in a lot of like humor and stuff. I mean, you could find like, I mean, there's people that message me about it and say, man, like, it's crazy how you guys will go off on something serious,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be like pretty spooky or whatever,
Yeah.
and then like most of the time, like somebody will say something crazy, which will lift the entire mood of it.
Yeah.
And then like that listener will feel like, oh, okay, I'm not so scared anymore. Like,
So like me, basically.
yeah. But I mean, but yeah, I mean, like it's a fun thing to do. It's called Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation.
Mm-hmm.
We're about 8 episodes in,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, we're about eight episodes, and we're available. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. I video that one. I put it all together and I push it out.
Nice.
I make all the graphics and stuff. So, and we're starting to do live shows to on different. I don't want to say reservations, but different tribal communities.
Yeah.
So even though it's called Mysteries of the Reservation, it's around here. It's more of like communities, I guess, tribal
Yeah.
communities, and so about a couple weeks ago we went to Hominy. I don't know if you ever
Mm.
heard of Hominy.
Mm-mm. No.
So that's where Osages they reside there, and we did a live show at their Hominy Indian Village,
Okay.
and so it was a good turnout, really great event. Only thing, it was no AC, so it was really hot.
Oh.
but but hey, you got to keep a show going, and everybody. It was cool. Everybody stayed, and everybody, they didn't leave, so
Yeah.
everybody stayed, and it felt like an old school native setting where everybody was using their fans. So it was crazy. Yeah. So with the live events, we'll introduce ourselves. We'll talk about who we are, and then we'll each tell a story. And
Mm-hmm.
Chris will usually handpick people that he wants to tell a story,
Mm-hmm.
which is like 5 to 10 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he'll open the floor up to anybody. Anybody can come talk about whatever they want to talk about, tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then they could, if they want questions, they can ask us anything. But other than that, it's a free event. If you ain't got nothing to do, we just mainly put it on for the everybody, youth, elderly, uh, middle age, whatever. Everybody's welcome. It's a free event, no alcohol, no nothing. So it's just a good
Mm-hmm.
time.
That's good. That sounds like a really great idea. I mean, I know I've thought about it before. People have asked before, will I ever get to a point of doing a live show? And I've thought, no, I'm not ready for that. There's just no way. There's no way. Um, I wanna kind of take it to a serious question, just for a minute, if you don't mind.
Hmm.
So I've got some friends that live in Oklahoma, and they've told me how, um, as far as the racism goes, that it's pretty bad over there. And for you, because of what you do and being a voice, what do you feel? Do you feel like it's a lot heavier there than in other parts of the country?
Oh man, it can be heavy. Um, okay, so I worked at a casino,
Hmm.
and that was when I moved back here in 2015 from New Mexico, and and it was my first week there, and I was doing security, and I've experienced racism before, like growing up,
Hmm.
teenager, whatever. Like I played football, and they'd always say some derogatory stuff towards me or other members of the football team, native blacks, whatever, even whites. Like they'd spit out derogatory terms to everybody.
Hmm.
And so, the main thing was always like, oh, like we can't afford to lose you, so don't lose your cool, don't get suspended for whatever games or whatever. So, we just had to take it, I felt like. And that was like around that time when I was in high school. And then I moved away when I was like 19. And so I went to Institute of American Indian Arts. New Mexico, you don't really. I had never experienced anything really over there, racism wise. But when I moved back, I was a grown up. I was an adult. I was a man. And my first week there, we got called to the blackjack table, I think. And oh my gosh, this guy was loaded. This guy was plastered. And we got there, and I mean, he just started going off on me. Like he was talking about, uh, I don't
You
even want
don't
to
have to
say it.
say
I mean,
it.
it was so bad. Like these are things like
Wow.
I've never heard before, and I mean, it was so. I mean, he was screaming it, and everybody was like looking at me, and like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done something, but I needed that job. Like I needed to work. We moved back, and I could not. Like we had rent to pay, and we had, oh man, it
Hmm.
was rough. It was a rough
Yeah.
time, and so I just had to sit there and take it,
Hmm.
and yeah, and escort him out while he spewed all that stuff. And oh my gosh, that was like the hardest thing to do because it's still like
Hmm.
it still rubs me the wrong way even when I think about it now. It's like just to go back and do something, but I wish I would
Hmm.
have pulled my camera out and
Yeah.
recorded him. I really wish that, and then put it all over Facebook or
Yeah.
somewhere.
Right.
But I just, in my head, I was just like, I wasn't thinking, and I was just like, oh man, just leave, dude. Like, just shut up and get out of here.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had to walk him from blackjack to valet,
Hmm.
and then he had to wait in valet, and he was still just talking smack. And oh my god, that was the worst like racism I've ever like had
Yeah.
in my life.
Hmm.
But after that, I've heard a lot of stuff too. Like
Hmm.
it's really bad around here, but that was like the only time I've ever had something that bad happen to me. I haven't had anything because I don't know. I don't know if it's like everybody's
Yeah.
sober, if it's because I'm like 6'2", like 300 pounds or whatever. But But I know it's here. I know it's
Yeah.
here. I know it's everywhere. I know it's
Yeah.
here. Just wish,
Hmm.
it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Everything's changing now. Like, why does it have to be like that?
Yeah.
There's it. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
need for it. There's no need for that type of thinking. There's so much diversity now
Yeah.
in movies and TV shows and podcasts and
Hmm.
the art world. I mean, things are becoming how they should be. It's not
Hmm.
so it's not so whitewashed anymore.
Yeah. And it's always so challenging, like you were saying, with, I know that there are times that things have happened where someone's given me an attitude or said something. And when I'm not at work,
Hmm.
then I'm vocal, I'm verbal about it,
Hmm.
like I'll say something. But if it's at work, it's so challenging because like you want to go off on people. I do anyways. I want to go off on people, but same thing. I think, you know what? No, I don't want to. And it ends up getting really heated, and then I get fired. You just never know anymore when it comes to work,
Hmm.
um but it is, I think it's challenging depending on the situation and depending on who you're with, especially if I'm with my kids. Um, it's sometimes I'll say something and sometimes I won't, because you could just tell by the person that, no matter what you say, they're so stuck in their mindset about, how they feel and what they believe, that it doesn't matter what you say, they're still gonna believe what they're gonna believe.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, they're just stuck in that old whatever mindset that was. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm so glad. Like, I don't know. It's just it's weird. Like, it's really weird. Like, racism is really weird. Like, when you really think about it, it's
Hmm.
like you really hate somebody for their color of their skin. Like, you really dislike that person. You don't even know them, but
Yeah.
yet you dislike them because of how they look. It just like it blows my mind. Like, it's like that's a real thing,
Yeah.
and I can't stand it. Like,
Yeah. Well, and I think about, like people may be thinking about skin color, but sometimes I'm like, okay, so maybe your skin's white, but like physically you're not the most attractive, but you don't see me hating on you because, you got two hairs on your head and you're coming sideways, like
mm,
I'm not hating on you. I might think interesting way to wear your hair, but I'm not, going to start attacking you as a person. Like it's just such a trip when people go there. Like you said, I don't, I personally don't understand it, which is why again, going back to you with the podcast, that's one of the reasons why I was really excited when you first announced it. And then, when you're dropping your episodes, I get all excited because to me, there's so many voices out there. There's so many different types of podcasts. There's almost a podcast for everything.
mhm.
Um, and I feel like, you know what, if all these other different characters can have a podcast, then we can have a podcast. Then you can have a podcast. And personally, I love podcasts. I listen to them more than I listen to the radio. And I listen to them when I'm walking, when I'm cleaning, when I'm at home. I'm just constantly, and to me, I feel like whoever's like with yours, I feel like when I hear your voice, it's almost like when you watch a TV show and you have certain characters that you get used to and you get all attached to them.
Mhm.
That's what it feels like. It's like, oh yeah, there's Russell. All right, cool. Let's listen. Let's listen to the story. Let's listen to what they're talking about. And then when you guys start joking around, it's like you start laughing because I could picture you guys just sitting around, just joking around and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like there's enough room for everybody to do
Mhm.
whatever it is, and I've had some people think like they're stepping on my toes, and I'm like, no, like just do it. Like, I don't care. Like, we could even work together. Like, I don't like. I mean, there should be like no, what is it? Is it gatekeeping or anything?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. There shouldn't be anything like that. Like, you should just be able to shoot. If you want to do a pod, do it. If you want to act, do it. If you want to do art, I mean, do it. Like, I mean, there's no boundaries to
Hmm.
what it is you want to do. Just do it. I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, this is everybody thinks that they're stepping on my toes. You're not.
You know what? I tell people that there's a lot of work to do still. Like,
Yeah.
even, I mean, you're right. There have been a lot of changes, but there's still a lot more to do. You know, like for me, when I listen to the radio or I am watching TV, and I'll notice that a majority of the commercials are people not of color, you know,
Hmm.
or when I listen to the radio and it's like you, I mean, I don't know an indigenous DJ right now in Denver that's, you know,
Hmm.
dropping the latest hits or anything. So to me, I feel like as long as we are not everywhere, as long as we're not at every table, there's still work to do.
Hmm.
And so, and I don't think of it as a competition. I celebrate. It doesn't matter if somebody's a writer, an actor, a model, director, podcaster, whatever. To me, it doesn't matter. To me, the more of us that there are out there, the better, because our voices are being raised, and I feel like it's giving all these people, all the younger ones, that are watching us, it's showing them options. It's showing them like, oh yeah, I could do this, or I could be an actor, or I could do this. I could have a podcast with my friends. It gives options to our youth, and it lets them know that there isn't anywhere, no matter what you were told younger or whatever, but there really isn't anywhere that you can't go. You can be here. You can do this. You can get out of whatever situation you were in, and you can step in and you can be a voice for your people.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had that growing up because representation was hard to find.
Yeah.
Because growing up for me, it was a lot of movies and TV. Like we didn't have phones and stuff. We didn't have YouTube.
Yeah.
It was pretty much, yeah, like your local town and then like what you see on TV and movies and all that crap. So yeah, I mean, growing up for me, like representation, it was, what was it, like uh Thunderheart,
Yeah.
Dances with Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
I used to watch that a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, Thunderheart, I'd watch a lot with my grandma.
Hmm.
And then, dang, what other movies were there? I know I'm forgetting some, but I mean, it was mainly like, it was just, it was always like this savior, I guess. It wasn't really, there's natives in there, whatever, but it was always like a savior to
A
like
white savior,
teach them and then show
right?
them how to do stuff. And then like, it was all about them mainly,
Hmm.
and so that was like, um, that was the stuff I seen. And so it left me kind of like, I don't know, like let's say Dancing with Wolves, like, oh,
Hmm.
so like back in the day, right? Like riding horses, but you're living in this modern time to where it's like, and then they don't teach anything in high school. Like I never learned anything about my history in high school or elementary school, whatever. They
Hmm.
never taught me anything, and I was always like afraid to ask like what I was, I guess, because I didn't really know like if I was like Hispanic or like native. Like I didn't know. Like I just knew my skin color was brown,
Hmm.
and so that kind of gave me the idea of like, well, I should already know what I am, so why should I ask? And then I grew up shy and I just was afraid to ask anything. I was so afraid to ask anybody, and then but I figured out, oh, I'm Pawnee, and I'm half Oto too, so. And and Dance Wolves, that's my tribe fighting the Sioux with Kevin
Hmm.
Costner. So that's my tribe getting, you know, shot up.
Yeah.
that's yeah. So that's my tribe. Like that's who I come from. Like we were in that area, but I
Hmm.
didn't learn I was in that area till like college. I had to learn all this stuff in college,
Yeah.
and so like we talk about representation, and now there is a lot of work to do still. Like you said, like yeah, we could be DJs. That's on my mind. Radio DJs. Or
Hmm.
more writers, more novelists, more anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff out there to be,
Yeah.
but just to see what it is now, like Res Dogs. Like a kid growing
Yeah.
up, watching that. It's like, oh, that's man, like that'd be cool to be on that show. Like that'd be really
Hmm.
cool to do what they do
Yeah.
because they're the same as me. Like I
Right.
mean, and so I just imagine, like I can only imagine like what it's like growing up now with so
Hmm.
much technology, so much like a lot of Res Dogs and Rutherford Falls and Prey
Mm.
and what else came out? Something else that came out. Oh,
Oh,
Dark Winds.
yes. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like this year's been like a pretty big year for representation,
Yeah.
and I can't
Well,
wait to see what happens on to the next year's.
yeah. You know what I really love is that the representation is correct. It's
Yeah.
not a white actor portraying this person. It's legit indigenous people, you know?
Hmm.
And like Reservation Dogs, I mean, that show itself is just such a breakthrough. I mean, the writing, the directing, the everything, all of it. And I was thinking about this, about how, you know, they have writers that are indigenous, they have directors, they have producers that are indigenous. Um, without a doubt, they are making sure that they keep it authentic. And I thought, it's such a breakthrough, but that's just one show. That's just one
Hmm.
show out of the thousands of shows that are on Hulu, that are on ABC, NBC, all these other stations. And so, and they film Res Dogs on in your state, right?
Yeah, they film it in Okmulgee, which is like about 40 minutes from here.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe we'll see you on there someday.
You might.
You could be
When,
one of the
when,
uncles or something.
so our good friend, uh, hold on, I don't know. I don't know if I should say this. Yeah, you might see me on
Oh, you
there.
got me all excited now.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
you might see me and Toke Signals on there.
For real?
Yeah,
That's awesome. It's
yeah.
about time. Right on.
At
I
least
love it.
the brands on there
Yeah.
are, yeah, our brands on there. So which is
Yeah.
cool with me. You might see us on there
Yeah. Well,
coming up.
I noticed that Noah Apodaca, he plays the uncle now,
Hmm.
Mr. Cranberry Juice, riding the skateboard.
Uncle
I'm,
Charlie.
yeah, I'm trying to get him on to do an interview.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah. But and then who else did they have? They had Chad Charlie was on there, and then Dallas Goatooth. Well, he plays the spirit guy.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, that'd be awesome. You come out and be on there.
It's
But
gonna
if
happen. We're gonna
Yeah,
manifest it.
all right, I could see it happening. I really could. I
Hmm.
don't see why not. And then eventually you could become like the another one of the uncles or somebody.
Yeah, I'll be an uncle.
You be an uncle. I love that show, especially this one that they just came out with the what is it, the
Yeah,
roofing
that one was good.
episode.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really liked it because I feel like I just had a conversation with somebody last week about toxic masculinity, and
Hmm.
then this episode drops and it talks about masculinity and it talks about and I just loved it. I loved how the person that talked to him was Daniel's dad,
Hmm.
and I love the part where he was telling them that um, it was something like the best way for him to honor Daniel would be the best for him to be the best version of himself.
Yeah,
And I thought, how many of us have been that parent or been that person that, we were living one way and then we decide, you know what, we're going to do it this way instead. And that is possible. It is very possible to turn things around. Wouldn't you agree?
it is. Yeah, it's very possible. It's just up to the person. I mean,
Hmm.
that's all it is how much do you want to change from where you're at?
Yeah.
Because I was depressed. I was drinking a lot. I was doing dumb stuff, and I knew better,
Hmm.
and I know better, and but it's hard, man. Like life is really hard. Life is hard to just trying to figure out what it is you want to do. And it's so hard to, like, if you pinpoint it, like you
Hmm.
say, okay, like this is what I want to do. But then like the whole distractions and like just being afraid to put yourself out there is so hard also. Like
Hmm.
that's like that makes like it's just stress. Like life shouldn't be so stressful. Life shouldn't be so you should be able to do whatever it is you want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to listen to nobody. You shouldn't have to, try to impress anybody. Just do what you want, like do what you love. I mean, and that's what that's what I figured out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's what helped me change. It was an idea, and then it just turned into something. And God, I mean, it's been like a blessing. It's no, like it's been a blessing, not like it's been a blessing. Like it's been so much positive impact in my life. I mean, it's not just like the podcast. It's turned into more things, networking.
Mm-hmm.
It's took me places where I wouldn't even imagine I'd be able to go, or people just asking me to help with like football commentary or
Mm-hmm.
filming them or helping host comedy shows. I mean, like the list can go on and on, and
Yeah.
I mean it's just turned into like a lot of different stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to do, but I just didn't know how to do it. But all it is just, it's just right here. It's in your mind. Like you got to focus and you have to do it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
put in the work. That's
Yeah.
all it is. You have to hustle. You have to
Mm-hmm.
grind. You have to sacrifice going out with your friends, maybe hanging out, going to the movies. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get this done. This
Yep.
has like nobody's telling me to do it, but I have to do it. Like I have to keep up with this. I have to stay consistent,
Mm-hmm.
because like my friend Dakota said, everybody's watching you. You
Mm-hmm.
might not think everybody's watching you, but everybody's keeping an eye on you.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that some want you to fail more than succeed.
Yeah.
And so I always keep that in mind. I'm like, I know people are watching. I know
Mm-hmm.
that. I always get random people that come up to me and talk about what I'm doing that I haven't talked to in years.
You're like, oh, I'm still on your radar. All right, cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, but you're right though. I mean, it is scary, and I mean, honestly, I've been thinking about doing a podcast for at least 2 years,
Hmm.
and even then, like a few years back, I have a friend that he has a radio. It's called Native Roots, and it's based out of Minneapolis. Robert Pilot,
Hmm.
but he's got a radio program, and he's even offered, like to give me a slot, and I've been just oh, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, but just not doing it. And I did what you did. I just started buying the equipment little by little, little by little, and then finally I had it all. And even after I had it all, it just sat for a minute. Like you were saying, it's scary because you're putting yourself out there, and you're going to have some people that love what you say, and then they're going to have some people that, oh, he shouldn't have said that, or she shouldn't have said that, and you should have said that instead, and this is what you should have done instead. um,
Hmm.
and granted, these are the very same people that aren't doing the podcast,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So that's what I remind myself when people start really, people start getting really finicky with me, or they start tearing up what I'm trying to do, is I think, you know what? At least I'm trying. Like you're just sitting at home critiquing me,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I had Adrian Chelopaw on here last year, and she was talking. She's a comedian, native comedian, and somebody, I think when she kind of first started and kind of started getting into whatever, but somebody, there'd always be people like, oh, like, well, I could probably be funnier, but it wouldn't like hurt her. She'd just say, well, do it. Like, what's stopping you from doing it? And
Here-
that stuck with me too. It's like,
Here's the
like,
microphone.
yeah, like that stuck with me too. Like if people say to you like, oh, I could probably do a better podcast than you, then it's like, well, then do it. Like, why not do it? Like, why
Yeah,
tell me? Like, why not just go ahead and do it?
yeah.
So, that's always my answer to a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, well, that's, or people telling me stuff of what I should do. Oh,
Hmm.
that's cool. Well, maybe if you start your own, you could do that.
Yeah, yeah,
In a nice way. Maybe you could do that on your show if you would start one. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't really try to get into a lot of drama and stuff. I just try to
yeah,
keep it going. Like
yeah,
I just try to keep these good vibes going.
yeah. You're a better person than me, because I would be like, well, when you do yours, just give him a dead look, like
Just walk away. Just
pretty
walk
much,
away from
yeah.
them.
So on your podcast, who would you say so far has been your favorite guest?
Let's see.
Can you pick one, or is that going to start trouble?
Well, I think so. I always go back to the scary ones.
Mm,
Um, I had Fallen Hour on, and usually like my podcasts are really like chill, like vibed out.
yeah.
We're just hanging out, having a good time. But this one, it was because of me too. I was pretty dumb doing this, but I got home from commentating football, and it was like midnight. And I
Oh
told
no.
these guys, these Fallen Hour, they're a paranormal podcast. They're like ghost hunters too, and they're
Hmm.
all into paranormal stuff.
Hmm.
Indigenous people as well. Go check them out. Fallen Hour Radio. And I contacted them, and I said, man, like they said, well, this is our available time right here. If we want to do it. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like whatever. I want to get the full effect of being scared at least. So it was about midnight. I got home, and we said 1 a.m.
Oh no.
Central
Mm-mm.
time. I think it was like I think they're like an hour behind me. So 1 a.m. So I got all set up, and then I turned
Mm.
all the lights out.
Oh my gosh, are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
no, I'm not joking. I turned all the lights out, and
Oh
then
no.
so I got everything set up, and we started going, and we started
Mm-hmm.
talking about spirits and paranormal and
Mm-mm.
past experiences and
Nope.
and just all kind of crazy stuff and like creepy pastas and like pictures that people see in their dreams and they don't know what it's from and stuff, but they can draw it and other people see it. And so we're going
Jeez.
off, man, and it's probably like 30 minutes in, and all of a sudden, like I hear like somebody walking on their end, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "No one's here." Like no one's here, and I could hear like banging like on the wall, and
Uh-huh.
then their camera, which is I think it was their computer anyways, but it was shaking, but they weren't seeing it, and I could
Um,
see it was shaking, but they couldn't see it, and I kept telling them, and then they started hearing like stuff on my end. It was
mhm.
like growling, and
Oh my
like
gosh,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah, and they got really intense, and
You get
then
me all nervous now.
and then so it's daytime, so we're good, but but
Oh.
but they were like, man, we should break out the spirit box. And I'm like, no, well, maybe. I don't know if you guys want to.
Oh.
And so, anyways, they didn't do it. And then we got done. And it was probably like 2:30 a.m.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting here and my like screen's the only thing on. And I do not want to turn around. I have like a weird, funny feeling.
Oh no.
And it's really creepy. It's a creepy feeling I have. And
Yuck.
so I get up and I turn on the slide over here. I look around, nothing's here. And man, I just start smudging the place. I have like so much smudge and I start lighting it up with some cedar too. And man, I'm like smudging the entire home. I'm going all over every corner, everywhere. I'm just like smudging. And this place, like it's smoked out. It's like a fire going on inside. But I mean, that's probably like the funnest experience I've had, probably
That was fun.
scariest, funnest, scariest, adrenaline pumping experience
Ooh.
I've had on a pod.
Mm-mm.
And but it was mostly my fault because I said, yeah, 1 a.m. cool, I'll turn out the lights too. But it's
Mm-mm.
never again I will do that. I will keep a light on if we do it later on in the night. I will keep a light. But always keep your smudge handy.
No kidding. There probably wasn't enough for that night.
Oh my gosh. And I slept. That was probably the best night of sleep I've had in a while too.
Really?
I think because my brain was just so everywhere. Like it was just like creeped out. It was freaked out. It was scared,
Yeah.
and I didn't know. Like I felt like I was being watched, and I kept hearing stuff, but I wasn't trying to freak
Mm.
out. And
Yeah.
so I smudged this place for like 30 minutes everywhere. Like, and then I laid down and I was out. I woke up and I felt like really good.
Man, that kind of stuff is I would not. It's one thing to like talk about it for just a minute or two, but to be
Mhm.
like intentionally at 1 o'clock in the dark. Like you were asking for it, brother. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. And I got it. Yeah.
People could see you at 3 o'clock in the morning, like running around your house looking for more sage.
I had all the lights on. I'm not going to lie.
All the lights on.
Yeah, I had every light on.
That's how
Smudging.
I watch scary movies with all the lights on.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. So so do you have any community events that are going to be coming up?
So the only thing really much is September 3rd
Mm.
will be the Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation will be in Pawnee, Oklahoma
Ooh.
at the Rome Chief building. And we'll be, having a spooky event.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having, there can be some prizes. So 75 for first place, 40 for second, 25 for third
Mm-hmm.
on the scariest stories.
Oh my gosh. I should
Yeah.
probably just fly in just for
Register,
that.
register flying and try to win. Get that 75.
Get that $75.
Be
Now
the
are you
champ.
gonna now are you gonna have like some sage available for people, or it's just kind of bring your own?
I think it's bring your own. I bring mine every time we do something like that. We like I should say like before episode and after every episode we do, we smudge. Like
Yeah.
we smoke ourselves off.
You
But
smoke yourself.
yeah, but I bring some to the events because you can never be too sure. You can never be sure
Yeah.
about what it is that might follow you or something. Just
Yeah.
leave them be.
Yeah. So other than Noah Apodaca, who else is out there that you would love to have on your podcast?
Oh man, so him, I'd love to have him, of course. Probably Sterling
Yeah, Sterling.
Harjo. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Dallas, I'd say Dallas. I would love to have the entire 1491s on one
Yeah.
episode. That'd be crazy. That would be insane.
That would be wild.
That would be a wild time. Like that's one episode I would like to have. Is just not individually, but have them all on and just go
Yeah.
crazy.
So for our listeners who don't know what 1491s are, who are they?
So 1491s, they're a comedy group that it's consisted of Sterling, McGeezy, Bobby, Dallas, and Ryan Redcorn.
Hmm.
And they started a long time ago. And it was basically just sketches, like comedy sketch group skits on YouTube. You could find them on YouTube, 1491s.
Hmm.
And then they would travel to different communities and do like live shows and stuff. And I mean, it's a bad name.
Hmm.
I don't want to say the date. I don't want to butcher it, but if you just look them up, there's videos from like 2010, 9.
Yeah.
I think the one that really took off for them was, I might be wrong, but if I am, correct me. It's called the Wolfpack Auditions.
Mm.
So it was around the time New Moon came out from Twilight, and they did like a spoof on the native Wolfpack. It's crazy. Go on, just type in like
I will.
1491's.
I'm
Type
gonna
in
go look it up.
1491's Wolfpack audition or something like that. It's crazy. It's a crazy
Okay.
one. They have so much content. I remember hearing about them,
Hmm.
but I was in college and stuff, so
Yeah.
you're going through your own thing in college or whatever, so you don't
Hmm.
really look into stuff. But I mean, they just have. I didn't realize how many videos they made throughout the
Hmm.
years. There's so much stuff to watch. It's fun.
Wow.
It's all funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've noticed you also have actor on your resume, if you could call it your resume. You've been in a few movies.
Oh, yeah. I've been in a few. So that was like my plan to like. I wanted to be an actor
Hmm.
before this, like the podcast. I wanted to just start going to classes and doing background work, just getting
Hmm.
into it. But I mean, it's a very hard industry.
Hmm.
You got to travel a lot.
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't have the funds to get to where you're going. I mean, putting in the work for that, because man, that is a lot of hard work.
Hmm.
But I would say like just background stuff. If you watch Golden Arm, it's
Hmm.
like a movie about women who arm wrestle,
Okay.
and in like the first like minute and a half, I'm like in the crowd, and I'm basically moving into the frame because I was when we were filming, I'm like, I'm gonna get seen. This might be my last one, so I'm gonna do what I do and get in the scene. And sure enough, like I'm in a lot of like those little scenes of screaming and hollering, and I get pushed by the villain of the movie. So if you watch that one, that's probably like the best like you could see me in that. That's like the
Yeah.
best footage of me in a movie. But prior to
Okay.
that, it's been like just I've been like in like 4 other ones, but you can barely
Mhm.
see me or I'm cut out. And then there's one that hasn't even released yet. I don't know what the deal is with it. I think it's called Sick Girl. I don't know if it's ever going to be released or not.
Yes, I was looking for it
Mm-hmm.
when I was researching you. I
Mm-hmm.
was looking for it and I couldn't find it, but you play a cancer donor, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a long day, but I'm kind of in the crowd, and then like I do like I don't know, like a circle scene or something too, but I don't know, the way they edit stuff might get cut out. And then I was
Mhm.
on a Wild Indian. Have you seen that movie?
No. Mm-mm.
It's with Michael Gray Eyes.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it either. I want to see it, but I was in the funeral scene. I guess it was Chasky Spencer. It was his funeral
Oh,
scene, and so I'm kind of just like a. It says pallbearer, but I'm
yeah.
really just in the crowd. I would say go watch Wild Indian. You might see me. Golden
Okay.
Arm. Definitely go watch that. The first minute and a half, then you could turn it off.
You're like, there he is. Okay, we wind it. We're done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Oh my
you
gosh.
so you were an actor for a minute, and then what happened? You just like said, "Okay, you're done. I'm going to do the podcast," or are you still acting?
Man, no. So I was like working. I was working at the casino at the time, and then
Hmm.
and I wanted to get away from that casino life, but man, it was just hard to do, especially
Hmm.
just moving here and everything. And then I got another job at another casino that I made a lot more money.
Hmm.
So I thought, oh man, like I'm gonna love this job. I'm making a lot of money, um, and it's a better what I thought was better, but not everything is better on the outside. It's
Hmm.
just more responsibilities, more work, more just crappy people, blah blah blah. So, and I had to quit acting because I was working overnights like
Hmm.
all the time, and
Yeah.
my schedule was weird. And I did that until 2020 May because we got furloughed because of COVID, and
Hmm.
we got furloughed for about 2.5 months. And they called me back to go back to work, and I said no, I'm picking mental health over this
Yeah.
job.
A lot of people did that during that time.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like this job that was bringing in money or this job that you thought you had to have. All of a sudden, you realize, you know what? I don't have to have it. I don't want it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it was like a for me it was nice not to go to work, and it was nice to just finally sit back and actually think about what it is I wanted to do in that 2.5 months because we couldn't go anywhere. We were just
Hmm.
locked down.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, I started educating myself on how to do a podcast, what you needed to have, how you needed to distribute it,
Hmm.
and just the basics of everything that I had to do to create a podcast. And so that's what I did. I educated myself in that time of just being here at home all the time. I mean, you could
Hmm.
only watch so many movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
At least for me, I had
Hmm.
to, and I just started educating myself on that. And so, and then when they called me back to come back, I just said to myself, man, I can't do it.
Hmm.
I'm going to finally really 100% bet on myself.
Hmm.
And then let's see where this goes. Because I've done a lot of stuff. Went to college. I couldn't go back because I owed money. So I dropped out.
Hmm.
I was trying to be an MMA fighter. I kept getting hurt. I had to stop doing that.
Hmm.
Trying to be an actor and work got in the way, and I just couldn't do it. Always been interested in podcasts, but like I said in the beginning, I didn't know what it was. Now I had this time to research, educate myself. There's a lot of free knowledge out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what it came down to, was just betting on yourself, or you're just going to go back to a job that you hate where they do not care about you.
Mm-hmm.
There's jobs that do care about you, don't get me wrong. Shout out to those jobs, but this job, you're
Yeah.
replaceable. You're replaceable as anything. And it was sure enough, like I said, no, I'm not coming back. And they said, all right, we'll see you later.
All
Yeah,
right.
it was like, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to come back? None of that. It was just like, all right, see you. Right there, that tells you, like, they just don't care about, they didn't care about me. Yeah, it showed me so much, just a lot of struggles, a lot of scary times, but shout out to the wifey as well, holding it down for us too. I mean, having
Mm.
that support system. And
Yeah.
there are a lot of times where, man, I just felt like quitting. I felt like nobody was like listening. I felt like nobody cared. I felt like just nothing doing
Mm-hmm.
this, a lot, but I just had to put my head down and keep working.
Right.
You can't let these negative thoughts get to you, like,
Yeah.
because I had to realize I'm doing this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this for my mental health too. Because prior to this, also, I just would not talk to anybody
Mm.
about a lot of stressful, depressing times that I had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
But doing this, I can relate to people. I can tell my story like that as well. Hopefully, it reaches people that maybe they're feeling the same way I was feeling, and I can hopefully help them get through the day at least, because there's better times, for
Mm-hmm.
real. There's better times. You just have to keep going.
For real. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on here. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, I love being on other podcasts, and I really do appreciate you having me on your podcast. And I very proud that you started it, and I cannot wait to hear the 100th episode.
Yeah.
So keep going. Keep going, keep doing
Manifest.
it, manifest that. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing I've learned throughout this little time. Is manifesting as well, but
Mm-hmm.
keep going, keep going. Don't let nobody tell you you can't do it, Mona. Just keep putting that work in, because what you're doing also it's a good thing. It's a really great thing you're doing, especially out in Denver,
Mm.
and hearing your podcast too. It's opening a lot of eyes, my eyes, to talent, to people that, don't have a platform as well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just natives helping natives.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd love to have you back again someday.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know when, and should we just talk about whatever? Yeah, I want to get you on mine too.
Oh, I'd
Um,
love to.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be really
For
cool. Maybe we can schedule sometime in October.
during
Yeah.
Halloween.
Uh,
You would.
no, we could release yours in November though.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up for people that want to follow you and listen to your podcast. Where can they find you?
All right, everybody. So you can find Okie Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I would say Google it and you would find it, or Google my name, Russell Sun Eagle, and you will find Okie Podcast. You could find Okie Podcast on Instagram at Okie Podcast. My personal on Instagram is at Rustmus49. My personal on Facebook is Russell Sun Eagle. Okie Podcast is available, or is also on Facebook as well. Check out the website, okiepodcast.com. On my Instagram, I also have a link tree. You could hit that, and you could find it wherever. That link tree is very helpful. It'll guide you wherever you need to go. And then check out Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation. Same thing, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to it. Check us out on Instagram at Reservation Mysteries, TikTok, Reservation_Mysteries, Facebook, Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation. Turtle Island Boys podcast, Underground Kings podcast. Go check that out. That's me and some friends of mine.
All right, everybody. And you've been listening to the Social Podcast. I'm your host, Mona Cedillo. Our guest for this evening was Russell's son, Eagle. You heard all the massive list of where you can find him. Please go follow him, go search, go elevate, and share his work. And until next time, everybody, have a great day. Take care.